What makes a cartoon character a comedic genius? Is it timing, delivery, or the ability to make chaos feel like art? In South Park, every laugh hides layers of intelligence, irony, and perfectly crafted absurdity. What seems random is often precision engineered. Every joke, every reaction, every disaster choreographed to make you laugh and cringe at the same time. From Cartman's master manipulations to Butter's accidental brilliance, these are the South Park characters who proved that comedy isn't just funny, it's genius. Let's start with the obvious choice. Eric Cartman. He's not just the funniest character in South Park, he might be one of the greatest comedic creations in television history. Cartman's genius comes from his unpredictability. He's evil, selfish, and absolutely ridiculous, yet somehow always the smartest person in the room. From feeding his enemies' parents to him and Scott Tenorman must die to convincing an entire town he's a psychic, Cartman operates on pure chaotic logic. His comedy doesn't come from randomness, it comes from exaggerated confidence. He's a caricature of every manipulative narcissist we've ever met, but turned up to 11. What makes him a comedic genius is that he truly believes in his madness, and that conviction makes every scene unforgettable. Then there's Randy Marsh, the unexpected hero of absurd comedy. When South Park began, Randy was just Stan's dad, normal, boring background noise. But over time, he evolved into the show's ultimate embodiment of adult stupidity. His overreactions became art, whether he's starting fights at Little League games, running a pandemic business called Tegrity Farms, or screaming "I thought this was America" while shirtless and drunk. Randy became the perfect symbol of delusional self-importance. His comedic genius lies in how he mirrors real people. The middle-aged dad who thinks he's the main character in every situation. He's proof that the funniest characters aren't just wacky, they're painfully familiar. And then, in the middle of all that chaos, we have Butters Stotch, the accidental comedic genius. Unlike Cartman or Randy, Butters isn't trying to be funny. His comedy comes from sincerity. He's innocent in a world that's anything but. Every time he tries to do the right thing, it backfires spectacularly. In episodes like Awesome O or Butters' very own episode, his tragic optimism becomes comedy gold. He's naive, awkward, and constantly victimized, but that's what makes him so brilliant. Butters is the pure heart of South Park, surrounded by insanity. His reactions are so real that they highlight how absurd everyone else truly is. Comedy, after all, works best when there's contrast, and Butters is the perfect counterpoint to chaos. Of course, we can't talk about comedic brilliance without Mr. Garrison. What started as a repressed teacher with a puppet evolved into one of television's most unpredictable characters. Garrison's humor comes from transformation, literally and emotionally. He's gone from closeted bigot to open chaos to political parody. His comedic genius is that he represents the extremes of identity, hypocrisy, and self-delusion, all wrapped in the framework of a teacher who should never be around kids. Every version of Garrison pushes satire further, forcing audiences to laugh at their own contradictions. Then there's Stan and Kyle, the duo who ground the show, and whose subtle humor is often overlooked. Their comedy isn't in wild antics, but in reaction. They're the audience inside the story, reacting exactly how we would if we were surrounded by maniacs. Kyle's moral outrage and Stan's exhausted realism create balance. In episodes like The Losing Edge or You're Getting Old, their humor becomes quietly mature. They're the straight men in a world of clowns, and without them, the absurdity would collapse. Comedy needs sanity to frame the madness, and Stan and Kyle are the perfect frame. And then, of course, there's Chef, the soul singer, the moral compass, and the man who can turn life lessons into R&B hooks. Chef's genius wasn't just in his lines, it was in his tone. Isaac Hayes' deep voice gave weight to nonsense, making the most absurd advice sound profound. Whether he was singing about making love or giving actual wisdom disguised as innuendo, Chef represented the classic comedic archetype. The voice of reason that's just as ridiculous as everyone else. His calm delivery made his jokes land harder, and his exit from the show remains one of the most talked about moments in South Park history. But what really makes these characters comedic geniuses isn't just what they say, it's how they say it. The timing, the pauses, the awkward silences. Trey Parker and Matt Stone masterfully use rhythm as comedy. A line that shouldn't be funny becomes hilarious because of how it's delivered. The show's animation style, simple and crude actually enhances the humor by forcing every expression and beat to be deliberate. When Cartman smirks, when Randy freezes mid-scream, when Butters blinks in confusion, those tiny details turn writing into performance art. Even background characters add to the genius. Take PC Principal, whose aggressive wokeness turns social awareness into satire. He's a mirror of performative activism, so over the top that he becomes both the joke and the point. Or Towley, the talking towel who just wants to get high. A parody so stupid it loops back around to brilliance. South Park's strength has always been its ability to take the dumbest idea imaginable and make it feel smart. The show's comedy also thrives on escalation, taking a small idea and pushing it until it breaks. Cartman wanting to start a band becomes a religious war. Randy wanting to sell weed becomes a political empire. Butters wanting to make friends becomes a criminal conspiracy. The genius lies in commitment. Every joke goes too far, and that's why it works. There's no halfway in South Park. It's all or nothing. And yet, for all its insanity, South Park never loses awareness of its own comedy. The characters know they're absurd, and sometimes they lean into it. When Cartman says, "I'm not just sure, I'm HIV positive," it's not just shock humor. It's timing, wordplay, and audacity rolled into one. When Randy insists he's doing something for integrity, it's not just parody, it's meta commentary on how people justify greed. These layers make the jokes rewatchable. You laugh the first time because it's funny, and the second time because you realize how smart it is. Even the structure of South Park itself is a comedic machine. Each episode follows the classic rule of three: setup, escalation, chaos. But within that chaos is order. The story always circles back to a moment of twisted clarity. The characters might learn nothing, but the audience always learns something about how absurd reality really is. That's the genius of it. And behind all these moments are Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the true comedic architects. They've built a universe where every character has a distinct rhythm, philosophy, and comedic purpose. Cartman embodies selfishness, Randy embodies delusion, Butters embodies innocence, and Garrison embodies contradiction. Together, they create a perfect storm of humor that's offensive, insightful, and enduring all at once. So when people say South Park is just crude, they're missing the brilliance underneath. Every ridiculous scene is crafted with purpose. Every laugh comes from truth. These characters aren't just funny, they're reflections of us, turned up to extremes we pretend don't exist. In the end, South Park's comedic geniuses prove that true humor doesn't just make you laugh, it makes you uncomfortable, it makes you think, and it makes you realize how absurd the world really is. That's the secret to South Park. It's not dumb comedy, it's smart people pretending to be dumb, and that's what makes it genius.